How's it going, everybody? Good evening. Happy Sunday, and welcome to the Essential Credentials YouTube channel. And this is the Side Credentials, episode 14, starting off 2025 with our first one of the year. I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Ben Mercer. Ben, how are we doing today, man?
Excited for 2025. Excited for this first episode. Semi-nervous about making some of the commitments I'm going to make for this year, but excited to share them so they're on the books. So you guys that watch this can hold me accountable.
That's right. And we will be taking notes during this so we can our plan is to check back in on these halfway through the year. So accountability is great. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to our first episode of the year. Just, getting in here and talking about what we're going to do this year going forward. It's really easy to be distracted by all the cool stuff that's likely to come out. We just saw Topps' base card design, which in a funny way, everybody seems to have an opinion about it, even though most people don't collect it or care about it that much. It's not like it changes anything too much, but I'm definitely looking forward to this episode for sure. So if you wouldn't mind, Ben, I normally throw the topic out, but I thought it would be cool since we kind of talked about it together. Would you mind introducing tonight's topic, and then we can get some viewers involved and go from there?
Yeah, so we were thinking, okay, kickoff episode for 2025. I mean, we basically left off last episode with a recap of 2024. So the next logical step for us is, hey, let's really think through like your 2025 goals. I know for me, there have been collecting years previously where I've sort of meandered through the year. A product comes out, something catches my eye, and it's sort of just a seat of your pants kind of collecting. You're enjoying it, but you don't have like a goal in mind. You're happy when you get something, but I think where we really came to this topic is like having a goal so you feel like you're working towards something, you're getting something done that you planned on doing, and there's like a true sort of goal. And obviously you'll have your side quest stuff or your things that are to come along. That's going to happen, but you have something to circle back on or look on and kind of stay focused on throughout the year.
Sure.
Which I will also say in introducing the topic was very difficult for me. I struggled with this a little bit because of the way I collect. So this was an exercise.
Right. Well, it does make you reflect a little bit and kind of think to yourself and challenge yourself a little bit. Like, what is something that I know won't be easy to stick to, but is something that I need to do, not only to challenge myself, but because collecting needs to stay quite fulfilling. We don't want it to feel monotonous. We don't want it to feel stale. I think that's why you see people take such big breaks sometimes, or as we've seen lately, start to think about selling out because they get stale with collecting in general. So I think goals like this are going to help you and I, and maybe some of our viewers, maybe rethink things a little bit and help keep the hobby fun and engaging for them. I do want to say hi to Matt. Thanks for making it, Matt. I've mentioned Matt many times in this show. Wonderful Stadium Club collector, Astros collector in general. But even though I can't stand the Astros, Matt's made me appreciate their cards in Stadium Club for sure. So Matt, welcome to the show. And then we've got Jake as well. Jake actually commented on one of our former episodes, a couple episodes ago, where we talked about like, hey, 2025, we're heading toward really narrowing things down. And he felt inspired into starting to do that now. So that's really cool that we were able to not be the reason, but like a springboard for that as well. So great to see you, Jake. Anybody else that's here would love to see a little comment, know who's here hanging out with us. And we will definitely be asking you some questions throughout this episode. So let's dive right in, Ben.
I want to start with you instead of getting right into the goals. Okay. When you started doing this exercise, did you come up with any sort of criteria to help you form a goal, or did you realize after you wrote some down, like I need to adjust some of these and like sort of develop a schema in your head?
Right. Well, I think as far as collecting goes, I was able to kind of put it all into one main goal in general. Well, kind of two goals, but that main goal kind of will guide me for the rest of the year. But it's going to be tough with the side quests. So that's where I think I might need some help fleshing it out during this episode, because with the main DC, it was easy. But for me, it was more about, I like having goals to stay committed to. I mean, it goes with anything in life, whether you're, trying to diet, whether you're trying to get more sleep, whether you're trying to cook different at home or maybe stay more organized or whatever. Like, to set it is one thing, but it feels really good when you're able to stick with it. And I know that it's not going to be easy necessarily, but I think it's going to be a fun challenge. So I try to approach it and don't come up with something that's going to just be easy. Like, okay, only buy this many flurry cards this year. I mean, that would be too broad, right? So I wanted to try
too broad,
to
too easy.
What about yourself? Like, I know you said that you kind of had to go back and forth. Was there anything that you got stuck on when you were trying to come up with these goals?
I realized I had to sort of put some guardrails in place, right? Like one, for example, is like it has to be realistically attainable.
Right.
Like it's something it could be maybe a stretch goal, but it still needs to be something that would be actually doable in this calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I ended up deciding and why I cut some things and kind of adjusted a little bit is because I noticed some of the ones I were putting on like are good goals, but in reflecting on them, I felt like they were going to stress me out in a way. So instead of like having it be a fun thing to do throughout the year to like try to get to this goal, I need to make sure like the goals were something that could be like fun, or is it something that I can make fun while I'm working on this goal? If it's something I'm doing all the time or working towards the goal, like is the journey going to be fun?
Right.
Because it shouldn't be like, oh, this is going to burn me out. And I looked at some and I was like, I think this could make me like anxious to try to do this. Like I could do it, but will I even feel good? Will the journey be fun doing it?
That's such an important thing. I mean, just for everybody, like anybody that's set a goal for this year, hopefully you've thought to yourself, is it going to be fun? It needs to be challenging and fun. There needs to be that balance of both. I don't know if you were to pie chart this thing, but I feel it's almost a 50-50 or 60-40 either way, because without the reason why we do this is because it's fun. Right. That bottom line. That's why we did it as kids, and that's why we're doing it now as childish adults, we could say.
Right.
But you know, it's because it's fun, and so I think that's a great point, and that's definitely, without really saying it, I think I'm always thinking about it from that side.
I think I had to tell it to myself a few times. Like, make sure you're making this fun. Like, make sure this will be fun for you to do this year.
That's awesome, man. Well, that's a really good thing to bring up. I want to say hi to Luke. Thanks for joining us, Luke. Luke? Now that we've got some people in the chat, I'm going to throw a question to the chat while Ben and I dive into our first goal. I think for me, it's kind of like it's going to be this overarching goal, right? And just
yours will be different for me.
Kind of branch out. But I want to ask everybody that's here, what is a goal that you have set for yourself this year? Could be something you did last year. Could be something you've done every year. Could be something new. Ben and I would like to know, what is a goal that you set for yourself as a collector this year? And we will get to those as we're.
I'll add like a tag on that as well. If you maybe don't have a goal for this year, do you have an example of a goal you had in a previous year that you feel like was a very good goal? Like you either achieved it or you felt like it put you in a good direction, or you were happy you set that goal.
Nice.
I'd like to hear those too. You could help me out.
For sure. Yeah. Reflecting back on goals that were successful or something that you can use to maybe motivate yourself to either continue that journey or try something different. Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm just going to start because I think mine's pretty basic but it's going to really help guide me throughout. I think I heard somebody say this and I was basically already doing this, and I've said it, but I didn't really state it. And that's when you have display cases, like there's two here and then there's two in the living room, which are going to be looking a lot different soon. I thought, man, those are great ways to determine what you add. Like obviously autographs can't go in there, but at the same time, if they could, if any card you picked up this year, for me, any card I picked up could go in that case, that's what has to be purchased. Like, I want to buy as few cards that go in binders, as much as I love my binders. And maybe when my first set that I have built from the ground up, can't wait to say what it is, comes out, you can best bet I will have a full-on set that I own.
You have to. Yeah, of course.
You know, this is the one. But for me, when it comes to Marc-Andre Fleury, let me just say this. I think this is the best way. So my first goal is any Marc-Andre Fleury cards that I buy can and should have the potential to go in the case. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to, but each one that comes in. So, you know, I've shown off a few of these, like the Padman, which is going to look terrible with no lighting. This beautiful Adidas tag or neck tag.
That's cool.
I mean, like stuff like that is when somebody were to come over, they would say, wow, that's really an incredible, unique looking card.
Yeah.
it definitely belongs in the case, right? An autograph with blue pen, my favorite.
Oh man.
Stuff like that. So for me, my main goal for 2025 is that any Marc-Andre Fleury card that comes in the mail, aside from maybe like, this is honoring him going to second place. It's a beautiful card, but it's like a $10 card, right? But anything that's like, $10 or over should be worthy of being in here at some point. So I guess to shorten it down, any Marc-Andre Fleury cards that I buy need to be display case worthy, if that makes sense.
That actually reminds me a little bit of what I was doing last year when I was talking about like going through and cutting down the PC, or like managing the size of the PC, or I started calling it to myself thresholding. So it had to be like a threshold that had to be met to like, because I have my main PCs and those 2 briefcases, and like it had to be worthy of, if I pull out 10 cards and flip through them, they all need to be of the same tier. Like then I'm excited to flip through them and look through every single one of them. So I started calling it like thresholding in my head. So it sounds like you're saying you're thresholding that it has to be worthy of being in that case and being able to be displayed. So sitting like Marc-Andre Fleury thresholding 2025.
That's a pretty good way of putting it. I never thought about that. I like it. Well, that's great. That's great. Well, I just want to let everybody know we will get to the comments after we've shared both of our first goals, and then Ben and I are going to kind of theme these goals too. We've got different ones that we're going to go through. So I see some people are heading in that direction already, but we will definitely get to those. So anyway, that's at least with the Fleury collection. That is my main collection. I decided before this year and last year ended, I need to really just narrow down to mainly collecting him. No more Tyler Glasnow, no more Duncan Robinson. I have a logo man. I bought a gold prism of Duncan Robinson. That was like the throwback. I feel like if I have like 3 to 5 cards I love of his that just stay in the display case, or just that represent, same with Glasnow, I don't need any others. So I've decided to really move away from that. That's where I'm at. So how about yourself? What was one of the main goals that you came up with for this year?
So this one is not even going to be about the cards themselves or picking up cards. My big one that will be the hardest for me this year is logging every single card that's in my PC into Card Ladder fully. Okay. Meaning all the fields are filled out. I actually have pictures for every single card. They're all in an organized fashion, the same way I have them in my PC. And my PC is not big, so for some people, if you're thinking like, I would have to do that from starting, it would be probably impossible, or just feel like impossible. But my PC isn't huge, but I did get to a point where I started doing it, and I got through, mine are still in alphabetical because of the way I collect. I got through about halfway through G last year and just burned out. I was like, oh, I'm getting tired of doing this. But it is super important for me, and I need to have everything in there logged. And it allows me to then much more easily go through and like curate the PC, right? Drop stuff out that I think doesn't meet the threshold anymore as they get newer, better stuff in. It's just much easier to navigate that on like an app platform than just in person every time you're trying to like procure, think through, analyze your cards, share cards with people. Right. So much easier. And I've never taken the step because I just never did it when I started, like as a kid, and it just was never a habit I had to like really get everything logged in somewhere and keep it organized in that way. And so like that's the big one for me in terms of like PC management. Everything needs to be logged and accounted for. And I'm sure most guys out there listening, watching, have all that in place, but that's just something for me that I just have never. I keep it small, so I feel like I can always just flip through, but that's not really enough.
For sure. The organization is key, man. I mean, I feel like we can always be more organized. I feel like this is probably the most organized I've ever been, but I can still look at, and I'm sure you can too, and you can look at your boxes, or you can look at your binders and think, okay, are they alphabetical? Are they by year? Are they by team? Like you can really, depending on how big your collection is, you can really, really get organized. And like you said, when somebody says, hey, do you have an example of that, platinum anniversary card from 2 years ago, blah, blah, blah? And you're like, yes, I do. Boom, there it is, and I think that organization is probably a goal everybody says they have, but to commit to it is another thing. So I'm going to,
my hard rule is I'm committing to every single one of them goes into Card Ladder. So there will be a true documentation of me getting every single one logged.
They log it into Card Ladder. Okay, I got that down for you. Perfect. That's a great first goal that you got here. Let's get to some of our comments here.
Yeah.
I do want to say what's up to Doug, my buddy, Russian Rocket Collector 10. He's got an amazing Pavel Bure collection. As I mentioned, he's been collecting since the 90s.
Dude.
So, yeah,
going broke is a real concern if you only have a few left.
Yes, and I do want to say, Doug, I'm putting you on blast. I found you a StarQuest Gold, and you still don't own it. So get on that, man. Make it happen. Somebody posted one, and I was like, hey, Doug, do you have this? And the guy that has it, it's like, nah, he has everything. He didn't have it. So
Ooh.
Pretty cool to
all right.
Yeah, pretty cool to see that that he didn't have it. Yeah, that's a good one. And then Luke, we're going to get to this topic later because Ben and I talked about like, hey, we should probably talk about a specific card we'd like to get by halfway through the year. So we will definitely get to that. And I hope that you get that this year, Luke. That'd be amazing. What do you think about this one? I mean, because this is more for you, Ben. I mean, you know all these old school cards way better than me. How do you feel about Jake Skull here?
Yeah, I think this is a really smart goal. I also would say if you're going to do that, there's a few that I would consider to be better purchases, even in the playing years, just because of the recognizability, the set fame. There's a few things I would consider. Like, obviously, I think if you've been thinking about it, you've done your research yourself. I have a similar sort of goal, which is to circle back into some of my pre-war collecting. I've had a Playing Days Ruth before that I've gotten rid of. It is a joy to own. It was probably one of the cards I had like on display for the longest. I would say worthy, but also, I get like unless you're going to get one that's like a little less well known, but you just really want one from his playing days, you are going to have to put buying other stuff aside for a bit. And I've had to do that in the past for like, I have a Ty Cobb T206, and it took me, that was 4 months out of the year. All I did was like sell stuff, trade stuff to have something else that I could sell for more, and like just worked up for the one card. So it's kind of like one track. You almost had to have blinders on if you decide to do that, because it is, it's the one goal. You have to be keeping an eye on every copy that comes in. It's a great goal because it is worth it.
For sure. And that's a really lofty goal, Jake. But I will say, Jake, Ben knows his pre-war stuff really well. He knows his old school baseball cards really well. So, I mean, feel free to reach out to him. His Instagram.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Definitely ping me.
I'm sure. Yeah, Ben would love to do that. All right. So next up, let's see here. We've got, GoFundMe for the StarQuest Gold. Yes, I'm not going to comment on this because I'm a Ducks fan. So best of luck to you. If you guys win, that makes us look better, I guess. So another one that Luke said is, I want to limit my purchases to major purchases. Kind of the similar thing that I was saying. Ben is on the same track as that. Yeah. I'm sure he's going to get to that. I want to stop buying the mediocre cards that are mostly collection filler. And I'm going to get to that topic next here. So I really wanted to think about a goal for the side quests that I have. I mean, I was thinking of maybe jettisoning, that's such a strange word, getting rid of everything that's not Marc-Andre Fleury and Black Panther, just everything. So I'm out there, I'm looking at my display case. One of them has all Dwayne Wade stuff, which are great cards. Do they excite me as much? Not as much. The Justin Jefferson case hits, maybe not the parallels, but the case hits really excite me still. I mean, I love watching that dude play football, and I tomorrow. So, I kind of pumped the brakes on maybe deciding to just like ship it all off to ComC and go that route or whatever. But I think for me, I really want to stay really narrowed with what purchases I'm going to make. Like with Black Panther, we're not making any more Marvel cards. So that I don't really want to start getting into Topps Black Panther unless they are able to get like movie pictures or something like that. I don't know what they're going to be able to do there. But those cards are pretty much going to be finite, right? So I think for me, those are going to be very few and far between. Our last Marvel release came out. It's called Masterpieces, and any Marvel collectors know that's like the highest end set of the year. It's like a $600 box, right? It's very, very, very nice. It's going to look terrible because I don't have lighting, but this is it's all original artwork. Where is this camera going? Oh my gosh. It's like having a mind of its own. Look at this. Anyway, so once I get this figured out, it's basically like an all original art set. Nice.
Oh, now found all your cards. There you go.
Yeah. So just trying to figure out like how can I, make sure that I'm not, buying willy nilly. And I think once I'm done with Black Panther stuff, dude, this camera has lost its mind. I don't know what's going on.
You showed the Black Panther and it had to like avoid it.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is why when you get an AI camera, you don't know what you're going to get. So yeah, back to that. Just going to try to limit that. I think there's a Penguins rookie who has some cards coming out that we're making.
Nice.
And so his name is Yoel Blomqvist. So I'm going to stick to like mostly hockey from here on out. And then maybe a Jefferson once every couple months, maybe.
Sure.
So just really like basically if I could just make it a goal here, I would say like 5 or less side quest cards a month at the most.
I think that's good. Yeah. Because the problem, I think that's fair and might be kind of difficult because you know how we are with our saved searches. Something pops up, you check them, and you're like, I wasn't planning on that one, but I could pick it up right now.
For sure.
So showing some restraint on those, I think, it is a good goal. And I would expect you to fail at least 1 month.
Well,
it's just going to happen.
It's going to be tough because, I think on average, right? But Blomqvist is when series, 2 comes out, he's got base Young Guns, exclusives, deluxe, high gloss, outburst, outburst red, outburst gold, and then he's got an insert that's got like 5 parallels, and he's not expensive. So I've never really collected a rookie before, like really collected a rookie like some of those dudes on Instagram do. And so for me, I'm going to kind of gauge how cheap it is, right? But I want to try to, limit it because once Fleury's done this season, he's not going to have cards for a few years. And so that allows me to really narrow it down. So on average 5 or less side PC cards a month, but I mean that might need to change depending on just how much of Blomqvist stuff gets out at once. But shall see. So anyway, that's my second goal. How about you, dude?
I guess I have one that's somewhat similar to that one. When it comes to like side questy stuff, something I didn't do last year that I meant to do but just kind of forgot about it that I'm going to do this year is I have a running list of like my favorite case hit cards from baseball products from 2024 products that I didn't want to buy at the time, right? Because those go to the moon when the product first comes out.
Always.
I need to let these cool off and go to the off season, but not forget about them. So when they do surface again, right, they get sold immediately, and then someone holds on to them, and then maybe 6 months later they show up again. So I'm going to have that running list and like be keeping out for those and make it a real goal to pick up like the 5 or 6 like favorite ones that I saw in terms of just design. I have like a few players I would even pick from, and really it'll be don't pick up the hot rookie one. Don't pick up the Jackson Holiday of that insert.
No.
Pick up the Bryce Harper. He's still a superstar, but he's not even as expensive as the rookies are.
Okay, so pick up 5 or 6 tops case hit inserts. Is this for the year that you're saying?
Yeah, because I limited it to like the most expensive ones that I liked the most. They happen to be both my favorite designs and the most expensive. So that many would be enough for me.
All right.
But pick up some from 2024 product that I totally missed the boat on doing that the previous year.
Right. Well, there's always a couple sweet ones, and they tend to put Julio in most of them. And so I've been tempted many times. Obviously, I don't need to not say this one because there's so many copies, but they're popular. The home field advantages, I feel like those are always just so beautiful. And for me, Julio with the Seattle stuff in the background, that brings back that nostalgia. I know for you, you've got some different players that you like. So it'll be really interesting to see which ones you end up deciding that are worthy of adding. I know we've talked about one that we were disappointed wasn't just the case hit, but I'm hoping that's on that list though.
The 7 Wonders for sure is on the list. And they only did the one parallel with the out of 5 version of it as well. So it's just the standard version and the out of 5, which they did not need to do. I'm not complaining, but you didn't need to do it.
No, and they didn't need to number it either. I mean, I know you like knowing exactly how many are made of each card, but for me, I love Panini's version of case hits. Like maybe there's 150 of them, but they're super short printed and not numbered. So there's still a little bit of that like guessing of what, unless those 7 Wonders were out of 7, then that would have been really cool. But yeah,
they didn't go that far. But yeah, I've got a couple, so it'll be fun as I get those in throughout the year to show off the ones that I picked up.
Okay, great. Well, I've got that typed down here. We've got, of course, restraint. What's that? that should be everybody's goal moving forward. I mean, we all are still recovering, no pun intended, from this COVID boom that happened, because not only were cards more expensive, but just the excitement for adding cards to your collection was at an all-time high for a lot of us. And so it was so
when they
easy
came out of
to go
closets when they wouldn't have before, right? That's
Oh,
what
for
really
sure.
happened for me, especially. It was cards that I kind of wanted for a long time, just were never there. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, someone pulled it out of their childhood closet, and boom, there it was online. And there was just an
Yep.
explosion of cards you never see. Like, whoa, okay.
Right. Especially when you're collecting some of the older stuff too. Obviously, 90s or pre-war stuff. I mean, that people have
Yeah.
stuff stored away forever, and all of a sudden, you know, somebody's grandparent gave them this box of cards, and they're like, "Well, let's see what we can do with this." And here now you've got these pre-war cards floating around.
Yeah.
It was an exciting time. So now I think we're a couple of years out of that craziness, and the boom is slowly, you know, coming down to earth. And so that's why I think these goals are so important, because you need to kind of find what the new, you know, style and rhythm of collecting is going to be, because the flipping aspect is not nearly as there as it was. Obviously, the grading and getting a 10 on something will always increase the value, but I think in general, you're not seeing huge increases, whether it's, you know, a huge season from a veteran or a rookie or whatever. I think you're going to see a little bit like usual, but you're not going to see the
you see the pops from the rookie class, and that's about it. But yeah, you're not going to see those crazy jumps in card values where you can flip like you were in 2021 through even midway through last year.
Right, for sure. Well, this next part of the, you know, goals are going to be fun. I think everybody in the chat is going to have an answer for this. Luke has already said it in a way, but I'd like to ask everybody in the chat, what is one specific card you would like to add by summertime? So, because what we're going to do is we're going to do another episode halfway through the year, you know, right at the start of summer, mid-June-ish, somewhere in there. And we're going to check in and see how we're doing on our goals. And you know, does something need adjusted? Does something like need to be added? Something get removed, like something along those lines. So I thought it would be fun, Ben, if we both came up with one card that we can realistically add before the summertime. Not, yeah, I want the 101 A-Rod, you know, Masterpieces Flair from 99. Like, that's just ridiculous, and that's never going to happen even if I did collect him. So I thought it would be fun for us to come up with one card. And my answer is super easy.
I have one written down already too.
You do? Okay, great. This can be fast then. For me, I can say it because I don't think we've said exactly when it's coming out, but we do know we've solicited the set, and we are doing EX 2000. So like we're doing, and we were supposed to, like back in the day, Fleer was going to do that set for hockey, like the infamous one with A-Rod and the stupid running pose on the box. But an amazing set. So we're doing that set for hockey, and I'm so excited because there's a few more parallels, all right? But there are essential credentials. And so I feel like the chance to get a Marc-Andre Fleury essential credentials is just out of 50 is just like, I think there's actually an essential credentials out of 100 and an essential credentials gold out of 50. So like both of those are going to be unbelievable. But for me, I'm just going to say add a Marc-Andre Fleury essential credentials.
Have to.
Yeah, and that, I'm telling you guys, when that product gets broken by all the breakers out there, 2 cards per pack, can't wait to see how they react to that.
Oh, they're going to be going nuts. They're going to be so mad, but it's like, yo, that's how it was. That's how it was.
There's, I think, 12 packs. How did we do it back in the day? I think it was 16 or 20 packs per box. I think it's a little less than that, but it's that set's going to be straight fire. And my coworker Billy had to work hard with everybody to make that happen. It was, for some reason, printing technology like that now, after doing it back in the 90s, you know, Gene's always said, like, we could do it in the 90s. Why is it so hard to do it now? I think because for so long, no companies were really trying to do crazy stuff like that. And so all these printing companies are like, wait, you want to do what? You want to layer it and all this? So yeah, that set's going to be fire for, even if you don't collect hockey, you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is pretty sick. So yeah.
So that's yours. Mine
is
Mine is the 1952 Topps Willie Mays and a low grade crease free.
Add a 1952 Willie Mays low grade with no crease.
Yep. And like good color, you know, I'll be picky about it. The reason this one's feasible for me is the low grades. I have other stuff I can trade into for that card.
Okay.
And there's enough of them that come across that I think look about right. Like they're out there. There's a lot of them out there. They've surfaced in many different collections. I'll be going to some shows and stuff. I'll come across them. For me, it's just going to be about the hunt of finding one that I'm really happy with, that I think, like, in terms of eye appeal, kind of matches how good that autograph is that I showed before, the 2001, the Topps Archives Reserve. So I really want to go ahead and land that one. And at the same time, I'll get the autograph graded. Probably by SGC, so I have a 10 auto grade. I know for sure it's getting, and the card's probably a 9, but to have them graded both and like side by side, that's the big one for me for like the first part of the year.
I'm going to put as like part of that goal grade and this is the Chrome auto that you showed, the Chrome Tribute auto. It's refractor, right?
Yeah, it's like the Topps Archives Reserve.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna make sure to get that archive.
But that's fair. Definitely put that in there because it won't be the same displaying them both if the autograph isn't graded yet.
Right. No, for sure.
So that has to be part of it.
Okay, sweet. Let's see here. A couple people have already sent in their requests. Again, everybody, I asked, what is a card you would like to add by the summertime? One of my 2 exception cards is the 1998 work done at Century Pretension. Now, Jake was a big work done collector, and I can't remember, Jake, did you sell most of it or did you just stop? Can't remember which one it was. To your question, for obtainable till summertime happened for me today. Well, there you go. I checked off a big 90s cards.
Oh, Platinum Club. Yeah.
Test of wits to see if you remember this one, 1997, 98 score. Yeah, Platinum Club. Yeah. So there was the Platinum teams and the Platinum Clubs, and the Platinum Clubs were really hard to get for baseball and for hockey. And
they look so nice. It's like a little bit of like an almost goldish hue.
Yeah.
And like the foil pattern versus the team had like the silvery kind of pattern.
Yeah.
And they're so sneaky. So many of those ended up in closets somewhere because they didn't know. Because they look almost identical. Like that's a big one.
For sure, dude. Yeah, no, that's a huge card, Doug. Congratulations, man. That's a monster. A very, very big card. Awesome. Cool. So far we've gone through like an overarching goal. We've gone through like a side quest goal, as we like to call it, side PC goal. And then we've gone through one specific card that we would like to pick up by summertime. I'm going to throw this to you here, Ben. I'm actually going to throw this comment up real quick. I kept my favorite done, sold what didn't make me smile. That's
smart.
I mean, that's a great way to go about it. Yep. Actually, sorry, correction. I got the Premier Club, which is even bigger. That's what I thought you were talking about. The Premier Club.
Okay, Premier Club. That's the one that has the gold issue. I was like, Platinum Club is Premier Club. That's right.
I think it was in baseball. It was Platinum Team, and then there was Premier Club.
That's what it is.
I had the A-Rod, but it was
you're right.
Crazy, dude. That card was beautiful.
Yeah.
So where did you go with your 4th goal here? Because we've got like a card-related goal, side quest goal, main PC goal. Where did you go next?
So next I went hobby in general goal.
Okay.
And so to explain that, like one of the bullet points I made for this kind of goal, because it's a big goal outside of just this point, was I said more active on social. So like force myself or make sure I'm posting at least 2 times a week on Instagram, which is more just to get my cards out there visually in another spot. And be more active in the Facebook groups that I'm in, both in just communication, sharing. A lot of people are doing some fun stuff to like keep the groups entertaining. I find myself going like, oh, I'll post for that, but I'm like working downstairs and I have my collection upstairs. And I'm like, I'll get to it. And then I'm like, it's too late. And then I don't do it. And like, really, I should just go post anyway, both because it's fun for me and you get the engagement from other people and get to talk a little bit. I think I've slowed down on that more than I want to. So I want to make a goal of like, I'm going to post this many times a week. And that's not crazy. That's very doable. You do way more than that already. So I can set a bar for myself and say, or, sometimes you'll go in waves or whatever. You do it a bunch, then you don't. But I feel like if I can set a goal of like a minimum 2 times a week, so maybe I'll post more, but say like, I want to at least be this engaged on the platforms 2 times a week. So I'm like, I'm out there. People know I'm there. And I can kind of maintain my excitement by doing that and having the interaction with other collectors. Otherwise, you end up finding yourself like a little bit siloed, kind of doing your own thing in your own world. And outside of me chatting with you or whatever, then I'm like, I'm just kind of, I don't know what's going on out there.
Right. Staying engaged with the community is huge. And I would just throw a suggestion out there rather than saying 2 times per week. If you got on and Monday and Tuesday you posted and you're like, well, I guess I'm done for the week. I think in those instances, it's good to spread the wealth. You know, you do one on Monday, start the week off with a post, and then like Thursday or Friday going into the weekend, you throw another one up, and you know, remembering to comment. I think that echoes what I always try to do is, you know, a lot of times people just, Instagram becomes a like fest. So it's good to
I just put that down to leave comments, because I do a lot of scrolling, liking.
Yeah, for sure.
I could leave a comment. You know, say something about the card. Like, I actually know about that card. That's crazy. You know?
Yeah. And I think one thing that's super underrated on social media is asking questions in your comments. So like if Doug comments on a card of mine, like if I'm going to post a Tebow really soon that I know Doug's going to comment on. But when I post that up there, you know, Doug or somebody likes the 90s might comment on it, and I'll follow up with a thank you and a question to like keep the conversation going.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it's something that's a bit of a lost art on Instagram. I mean, I'm friends with people who don't even like my photos, which is fine, but it just shows that there's so much out there that you're going to miss a lot. So when you do engage with, you know, a page that you either really like or a new one that you found, I think it's important to, you know, go and show some extra love for people who are taking the time to post, especially when the descriptions, like Al is a big Jerome Gimla collector, and dude, his descriptions are amazing. I love it. He's got a story, you know.
Marco, the Griffey guy, that'll do like the whole backstory of the card, how he acquired it, the cool story, and you're like, I just read all that. That was a lot of entertainment. I should leave. He deserves a comment and a like and some engagement on that. So yeah, maybe that's another way to state the goal, was like overall more interaction. On social with other people.
That's good. I mean, I'm not gonna really go off of that, because I feel like that's something that I try to do like 3 to 4 times a week.
You're already knocking it out. Like you crushed that side of it. I need to be better about it. So that's a goal for me.
Yeah, good. I like that for sure. So I'm gonna springboard us into our next like mini topic before we, you know, we're already 36 minutes in. We were thinking maybe keeping this one under an hour for sure. We're going to throw this out to you guys too for some ideas, but I'm going to kind of springboard it into the first thing that I've been wanting to do this for like 2 years now, probably. I brought this up with Ben, a couple weeks ago, right? Like right after our last episode, something like that. Maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I said, hey, you know, and it's too bad he's not here, of course, but John Shu, you know, the big rolling collector, he does an amazing blog every month. And I always thought, you know, to kind of tie into the overarching goal of the year, I really want every card that I pick up, and I know Ben already does this, but for me, I really want to focus in on every single thing that I spend my hard-earned money on needs to have a very specific reason why it's being purchased and why I'm adding it to my collection. Because when you're super collecting a player, it's easy to just buy it because you don't have it and you want to complete the rainbow. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a fun way to collect. John does it.
But it's back to that comment of filler cards. You can fall into the filler card pattern real easy.
So easy. So for me, I originally was like, you know, I'm going to do it. This is the year to do it. I'm going to get a blog going. I'm going to write about the cards that come in. Every card I add. That's the thing. If you're going to blog about every edition every month, you better not be buying more than a few, because that is going to be a lot of writing. You know, it'll be fun, but it'll be time consuming. And I don't know how many people are going to spend, you know, an hour reading a blog. So my original thought was to start a blog. And then I thought, you know, what would be even more fun is to do it with somebody, because then you're kind of holding each other accountable to type something up.
Accountability buddy.
Yep. And then you also are helping each other reflect upon things. Maybe, you know, I'll type something that Ben thinks, hey, oh, wow, that's a great idea. Never thought about it that way, or the other way around. So Ben, you and I are going to, at the end of this month, I assume is a good starting point. We're going to have our first blog post where we are going to collaborate on it, and we're going to reflect upon the cards that we purchased. So how are you feeling about this now that we've kind of reflected on it a couple of weeks? Does it sound like something that's going to be fun?
I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to hold me to the way we've been talking about, like scaling down PC or being precise and intentional with the purchases. And that's kind of one of the underlying goals that we've sort of been talking about kind of rolling into this year anyway.
Right.
So I'm even looking at like the stack of the stuff that I bought so far this year, and it's 4 cards. That's it so far.
Nice.
So I'm already cutting it down significantly, although I'm about to do one big purchase of a bunch of cards. So I'll do that, and then I'll be chilling for a bit.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, same way for me. I should be able to like look through every card and say, I have something I can say about this card. Like there's a true reason for getting this card, and I can talk about it.
I like that. I'm going to add that to yours, even though it kind of it goes with both of us, is every edition should have, how did you describe that? It should have a specific reason. How did you say it?
There should be like a reason for purchasing the card, and I should be able to say something about it.
Okay. Each edition should
have
a story. We could say that, right?
It can't be, I bought this because it's Barry Bonds.
Okay.
That doesn't count. That's not good enough.
I like it for sure. I mean, John could easily phone it in and say, hey, this is Roland, so I picked it up. But he's very specific. I mean, even when it's like card, like a sandwich rainbow card, we'll call it, where it's like the 1 out of 50, but there's still the 25, the 10, the 5, and the 101.
Right.
You can have something to say about that. Well, this matches this color from this team he played, or the serial number is his jersey number. Like he can find something with every card. So you and I are definitely going to have a lot of fun doing that. We were kind of thinking about what, 2 to 3 to 4 times a month. It doesn't have to be just monthly, right? You were kind of thinking of taking it a little step further, right?
Yeah, as stuff comes in, because really I think about the cadence of what I'm planning this year outside of at least one bulk purchase I have lined up. Like the other stuff that comes in, the cadence I usually have come in is I'm going to try to stick to about a couple cards a month,
right? Usually,
pending something happening. There's always
something happens. Yeah,
something always happens. But like that's the cadence. I'm thinking, okay, I can work on logging the cards that I haven't logged that are already in my collection. I can add those to my collection while they come in, and those new ones, I will have something I can write about with them. So it's like full circle. I'm really procuring my PC and maintaining it like in a more thoughtful way.
Very cool. And that phrase, like just being more thoughtful about the PC, that pretty much describes what we're both going to be doing this year. Like it's going to be a very thoughtful process throughout, rather than willy-nilly buying that we've all been guilty of doing. So that's,
and it'll be interesting. I think the other side that will be fun to sort of reflect on is as we are more thoughtful about our purchases, when it comes time to maybe let those go, will it be harder because of how much thought you put into the purchase, right? I'm wondering will there be a backside emotional attachment that you actually get more attached to the card. Oh, I wrote about it and I remember the thought I put into the card, and like that'll be interesting to see if it becomes more of an emotional attachment. Because I generally am kind of not like that. I'm like, I purchased it, I enjoy the way it looks, but I'm not going to be like emotionally invested in the card. I'm just very happy to have it, and I think it's beautiful. But if the right price comes along, I'm ready to let it go. I wonder if my headspace will change any because of the way we're going to go through adding cards and blogging about them. It'll be an interesting thing to reflect on in 6 months.
For sure, dude. I'm excited. I mean, obviously, halfway through the year we can talk about it, but it'll be fun to see what, if any of the viewers here decide that they want to read through it every now and then and see if it's something that inspires them, inspires us a little bit. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to, I think again, starting with our first one at the end of the month, we can kind of work on it and we'll get it up for people to read and we'll kind of see where it goes. Now, Ben, I know you like to break certain boxes every year. Same here. Like I can't wait to write a blog. It'll be probably over a year from now, but when my first product that I worked on comes out and I break a box of it, like that'll probably be a live video, but it's definitely going to be something I'm going to write about too. So it's going to be.
Well, I'm going to be getting some too. So it's going to be crazy for me to be getting some, being like, Matt worked on this. This is crazy.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun too. You'll be able to get it. I think everybody in chat can afford a box of it. So I'm excited about that for sure. A couple comments here. We got somebody new that we've never had a comment from. So Kinger, I'm not sure if you're on Instagram. If you are, drop your handle so I can give you a shout out because I follow like 4 Bure collectors. But yeah, check out Doug for sure. Russian Rocket Collector. He is super helpful, super nice. He's been on here with me before. Yeah, we'll probably be on here again. He's one of the best, friendliest 90s hockey collectors that you could ever meet. And to follow that up, Doug did say, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, Ben, if you want to separate yourself from the crowd, knowledge is power in this hobby. I recently posted 50 of Bure's best 90s Canucks, and as much info as I could put in the comments. Info is valuable. Yeah, you definitely did a great job with that. And
that's huge.
There's people that are going to use that to help them find cards of their favorite players. So you and Jimmy are some of the best, and Al too with the 90s stuff. Love that. Along with what you guys are saying, I've spent the last 6 months narrowing down the PC to what really matters. I mean, I think that's a super great goal, man. It's awesome.
I do think it'll be interesting also as we sort of narrow down and focus on the purchases. And I'll be curious to see if people in the chat have the same experience. I'm sort of telegraphing that potentially, because we'll be making less purchases, and it seems like this is maybe a trend for some of us kind of in the hobby, kind of like narrow focus, get stuff we're really excited about. If we're going to see a smaller selection of cards, like the prices start to kind of climb up, because we all are kind of thinking we want to narrow down and get those big things that maybe there's only 50 copies or something of a given player. I wonder if we'll see like some cards start to kind of level out at a certain level of rarity, and then some of those really desirable ones, we start to see them kind of go up as the collection of us all go, well, we all want the but I mean, not a PMG, but you know, something that's like rare, that's hard to come by. If those prices start to, and if we're buying less cards, do we maybe just not really care as much about the comps for those? We're just like, well, I'm buying less cards, I have more money to spend on this card, and I truly want it.
That's why it's so important to target very specific cards, because you don't get as attached to like nickel and diming your way through every purchase. When you're super collecting a player, you have to like try to get that middle. I love that I come up with that, the sandwich parallel, the sandwich scene between the easiest and hardest parallel. You can't just, I can't spend more than $10 on this. It's like, oh, I'm just getting the red, so I'm just going to go for it. Yeah, I don't care about any of the other ones, right? So
yeah, the money I was going to spend on blue, green, gold, true gold, whatever, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Exactly. So that's a really good point that you bring up, and I'm curious to see how that looks, you know, halfway through the year here. And another good goal from Luke. He said we decided to go to spring training in Arizona instead of the national. So I'd like, dang, that's too bad, because I'm probably going to be there working. So it'd be a bummer to not be able to meet you for the first time. But I'd like to make a goal to get more regional shows this year. And now, Ben, obviously you're going to be able to make it to the national, but you have done a good job of not only going to regional shows, but setting up at a regional show. So it'll be interesting to see this year how shows look. I mean, we've reflected on like the Ohtani. If it's not Ohtani or Wemby, there was nothing at most tables. So I'm curious to see, now that that's starting to die down, at least Wemby.
Yeah. After those years and like a different rookie class coming up, at least for baseball, and like, you know, Bedard isn't going to be the big chase for hockey. I'll be curious to see if things start to shake up a little bit at the table, since there isn't like one player chase for every sport. That's all it was last year's. This rookie, Ohtani, like this rookie. It's like that was it.
Yep, exactly. And I hope that more variety is a good thing. You got 4 or 5 players every year that people are chasing, plus obviously the vets. It's interesting to see how that might change the dynamic of the hobby a little bit. So yeah, very interesting. Well, cool. Well, our last thing, I'm going to let Ben kind of springboard this. I sent you a message a couple of days ago, and I said, you know, we've, Greg and Al have been very busy. They, Alan and Greg, they have families, they have work, they're very busy, and they're not necessarily collecting the way that Ben and I are right now, which is fine, right? No big deal. But as I'm sure everybody's noticed, we haven't had an Essential Credential episode in a while. Greg did a solo one a couple months back, I want to say. But I was saying, I brought up something to you, Ben, if you'd like to expand on that, and then maybe we can get some ideas from some of our viewers.
Yeah, and I think even some of the viewers had thrown it out there before, but like, since we're kind of trying to maintain a somewhat regular schedule doing this show, and like you guys have been really fun joining, and I feel like you guys, a lot of you probably didn't even know me, but I kind of am learning some of your names and having a rapport now, and we're just enjoying Matt and I doing this show together. But because as we were talking, like the topics of the show have sort of expanded beyond like Essential Credentials, but it sort of hints to like 90s cards a little bit because of that set and the era of that set. And we're really talking about like the hobby as it is today and our collecting and how we keep it fun. It's the scope of the show and topics of the show have changed a little bit for us. And so we're kind of throwing out, and Matt really brought up the idea, like, do we consider maybe like rebranding this show so it's a little more aligned with like what we're talking about and what you guys are hearing every week and what you guys bring to the table, you know?
Yeah.
We're talking about maybe a name change or something. And I mean, shoot, my handle is BB Card Collector. So I'm not like the most creative guy in the world when it comes to like a branding thing. So we got some ideas or whatever we're tossing around. But then I kind of said to him, well, why don't we just throw it out to like you guys and leave comments? And if you're watching this, you know, after this live stream sometime this week, like leave comments on the video if you have an idea for, you know, based on the topics we talked about, or, you know, what you think about our personalities and what we're bringing to the hobby and what we talk about. If you have an idea for what to call the show, like we're thinking about a branding redo.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, I really just thought to myself, Side Credentials is a great name because it ties to the Essential Credentials and it's more of an open-ended show. But since the Essential Credentials is kind of at this, you know, what's the word to say? like it's not that it's gone, but it's TBD as far as when and if it's going to come back. It kind of depends on what Greg and Alan want to do with guests and whatnot. So we thought that we would rebrand this show and come up with something a little bit catchier than Side Credentials, something that can be tied to the blog that we're going to do and the show that we're going to do. Something if I, were to go on Instagram and create, Ben and I would co-manage like the Instagram profile and be able to post things on there, like something that's catchy that ties to what we talk about and our personalities. And our biggest thing, Ben, that we talked about, right, was we want to make sure that this show is an area of positivity.
Yes.
There is a big trend out there right now where, and I'm sure everybody watching can agree, there's people selling collections. There's people, our company made a big mistake on a card. It wasn't like my department's fault or anything. It was the other facility that was trying to make these cards. But people jump at every chance to throw shade at card companies. And obviously lots of them give them the opportunity. But, everybody talks about that stuff, and we want to focus on the joy of collecting. Hey, maybe that's the name of the show. But we really want to, focus on that side of things. We're all here because we like it. And like Ben said, you're over there, for fun. We do this for fun. It's not because we want to be involved in the hobby and bring up all these controversial topics. Maybe that gets viewers, but I'm less concerned with that. I'm sure Ben is too. It's more about making this fun and enjoyable for everyone.
It's played out. Anybody can talk crap about the companies or mistakes or what people are doing in the hobby or theft at a show or this lawsuit's going on. It's like, great, but like, what are we doing just to have fun and like enjoy doing this and like keep us doing it, right? So we don't get burnt out or get bored of it. Like what makes it fun for us and keep talking about those topics.
For sure. Yeah. So if anybody's got an idea for a name that this show could be called, many of you that are here today have been here multiple times, and people who are going to watch this after it's been live, you've been here multiple times. Or if you're new, doesn't matter. If you've got an idea of a catchy title, throw it up in the comments. And I mean, as much as I like this idea, I feel like that has been trademarked by somebody, either Nate or somebody that I see say that or post that every time.
Yeah, somebody's got it as like a catchphrase or a bumper sticker already or something.
I like it though. That's a good one, Luke. But yeah, I feel like you'll have to remind me. There's somebody, either Dave Archer or somebody who has said that phrase many, many times. And
with some of you in here that Matt knows, and I'm getting to know, like another way to think of it would be like, what would be the name of a show that like you would want to be on? Because some of you guys, we're going to be having guests on this year, and like we're going to be pinging some of you guys to get on here and chat with us. So like a show you would want to be on that sounds cool and you would be excited to go on. Right.
Especially because, this show is not necessarily, I guess, focused on the 90s. I know that's where we started when this whole channel got going. When I created this channel and Greg and I started the podcast, it was 90s focused. That's changed a lot. But we are two guys who really love the hobby. You've got somebody that was working in the industry, like with a card company. You've got somebody else who's got a ton of knowledge who could probably do an amazing job if he ever worked for a card company. So like we are here because we love it. We're not here because we are trying to, start any controversial topics or give you any hot takes. We're coming at it from the joy of the hobby, nothing else.
You'll never hear us pump and dump anything.
No, definitely not. So yeah, definitely looking forward to a little bit of a rebrand. Obviously Ben and I will be on most episodes. There might be an episode where Ben can't make it or I can't make it, but we definitely want to try to get once a month, have a guest on and have a central topic and kind of go from there. And then all the other episodes we'll probably just do together, but really looking. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, it's super silly. I probably won't do that, but that is a funny one. But appreciate the ideas, Luke, for sure. But yeah, we definitely want to say we're looking forward to 2025. Just going to run through these goals real quick as a review, and then we'll wrap it up here, Ben.
Yeah.
I'll go. Why don't you go ahead and start with? I know I have them typed up, but so do you. So if you want to go through, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals for you. Do you have them in the same order I do, you think?
Probably not, but that's okay.
All right.
I can run through mine real quick, though. I'll just rattle them off and then you can go.
Let's hear it.
Log the PC in card letter fully, pictures and everything. The list of case hits that I have from 2024 2024 products, pick up 5 to 6 of those of players that I'm excited about. Be more involved. So social media, posting more, Facebook groups, leave comments, ask questions. A lot of good suggestions from you, Matt. The 6-month card goal is the 52 Topps Willie Mays, low grade, high eye appeal. So that's where I'm at, and the blog.
Great. Okay. That's what I got here too. Yeah. And then, so any Marc-Andre Fleury cards that I buy are going to be display case worthy. And I'm going to try to average. This one might need to have a rework because of the way that we release products. Bloomquist might have like 3 different products he's in a month. And I'm like, well, I mean, he might not have a ton of other cards after
we'll say
this.
On average.
Yeah, on average, yeah. And I did say that. 5 on average.
There you go.
For a specific card, add a Marc-Andre Fleury Essential Credentials / I should add this, EC Essential Credentials Gold. So
yeah, dude, if the gold pops up, you're going to have to go for it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And then, post on the blog 2 to 3 times a month. I mean, that's going to be, I'm going to say on average, because there might be a card. Ben and I might get a card in on Monday and then get another one on Thursday. I really want to write about this, I think so. Yep. I think that's going to make it fun. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. It was a pretty, mellow episode, mild episode, card content wise, but it was more about just kind of setting some goals. And we hope that you think about maybe setting one goal for yourself this year, if you haven't already, to help you enjoy the collecting and enjoy your a little bit more, if not a lot more than you did last year. So I feel pretty confident about my goals. How about you, Ben? Are you feeling like this is something that it's going to be doable?
Yeah, after rewriting them many times and cutting a few, I feel like these are ones that I can stick to that are going to keep it fun, because that was really like the main goal for me, is like do stuff that I can commit to that's not going to be stressful, that will add joy to the hobby for me.
Great. Awesome. I mean, first of all, yep, you're welcome. And I think we might need to dive into this after.
Yeah, there's something to this. Yeah,
there is for sure. Well, Jake, Luke, let's see, we had Kinger in here. We had Doug, of course. We had at the very beginning, we had Matt in here. And those of you who watched, who either collect or don't collect, thank you so much for joining and hanging out with us. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And I will end with Go Vikings. That's my closing comment.
Fair enough.
Closing comment for you, Ben.
I have no irons in the fire for this one. I guess I could kind of say I like Baltimore a little bit because I like Derrick Henry, but I'll go with your Vikings. I have no skin in the game here, so go Vikings.
All right. Let's hope Justin Jefferson dunks all over the Rams big time so they can get revenge on the Lions. So, anyway, have a great week, everybody. Hope you enjoy the game tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Take care.
Yep. Bye, guys.